What makes a relationship work is things in common. Does that make sense? We're jotting it down. What makes a relationship things work is things in common. What makes a relationship passionate is things being different. What makes a relationship work is things in common. What makes it passionate is that things are very different. Now, if they're different values, you're going to just eventually hate each other. But if they're different energies, masculine and feminine energies, regardless of whether it's men and women, right? It could be two women, two men, man, woman. As long as whatever the relationship is, there's a more masculine one and more feminine one, there's going to be sparks. That's where the electricity comes from. But what a lot of people do is they have a lot in common, and so they have love, but they don't have the passion because they're both being masculine or they're both being feminine, or they've worn themselves out. And most people, when they're tired or when they're stressed, put on the mask of the opposite energy. Most women under stress, ladies, you tell me, become more masculine or more feminine? Which one? Under stress. Which one? Which one? That's right. And the minute you get more masculine, which is like a protection source, there is zero possibility of electricity between the two of you. And if you have a masculine male, now it's war, and then you're going to feel hurt. And the same thing happens with ladies. If a woman is not seen, if she does not feel seen by her man, ladies, you will feel that energy somewhere else where you think you're seen, won't you? Because for a woman, gentlemen, you might want to jot down, these are the three biggies. If these are missing, she's missing. She might be here, but she's emotionally missing. She's going to have a hard time having passionate sex with you, because one thing you should all know, women need a reason to have sex. Men just need a place. And the reason for a woman is she feels seen, she feels safe, and she feels understood, gentlemen. She feels seen, she feels safe, and she feels understood. Now, these are not just little phrases. These are life and death of your relationship with a woman. Now, when I say a woman, I apologize, a feminine energy. Because there are women who are masculine, these three don't matter, right? You follow the difference? And that doesn't mean sexual preference. You can have somebody be gay or lesbian, and they can still be the opposite energy. It doesn't matter, okay? So if you're with a feminine energy, that energy needs to be seen. Now, men tend to be in one focus all the time. That's the way our brains function. We go into total concentration. Our power is our ability to let go of everything except what we focus on. A woman's power is that she can feel everything simultaneously. A woman can be here talking to this woman and she's hearing both of their conversations going on and the child in the back, and can tell by the tone of voice of the child what they're doing, or they're getting into monkey business or not. And a part of her is thinking about the checklist she needs to do over here, and she's having empathy for the woman in front of her. Guys are like, you're crazy, there's no possibility. And so women assume that men just aren't paying attention to them when men are doing what their brain does, single focus power. It's what women would be able to do if they felt the same confidence that men does. Men statistically have more confidence, not because they're smarter, not because they're bigger, not because they're stronger, because they only focus on one thing and you consider everything.
I think what makes a relationship work is all, the classic stuff, like, having trust in each other and giving each other space.
Being confident enough to say what you want and to say when you're not comfortable. Can I do that again?
Well, sharing. I make my wife happy, she makes me happy, and it works out great.
What makes a relationship work for me in general would be compromise and trust.
Trust between two people, and respect.
Honesty, being truthful to one another, and being able to respect the other one's decision.
We're best friends and we love each other as well.
Yeah, I think that's the best part.
I found my best friend.
It's good to have distance, not too close to each other.
You can make new friends, but you can't make old friends.
What's different about the masters and the disasters is that the masters are repairing things effectively. So that we think that what's going on is that, in a good marriage, people have arguments that are kind of crummy arguments, and and they don't follow communication rules, and they say mean-spirited things, and they get defensive, and they get critical, and they get desperate and upset, and they stonewall, and they do all this stuff. But at some point, they have a conversation where they recover from it. They can talk about it, and they can repair it. And so what we want to suggest to you is really, that's really what the major goal ought to be, is how do you fix things? How do you make your next conversation on this problem area better than your last one? How can you repair it? And so for a lot of years we were looking at the repair attempt itself. How do people try to make it better? You know, like a repair attempt might be, gee, I don't think either one of us is really listening to the other right now. Maybe we should try again. Or a repair attempt might be, you know, this isn't really what we're supposed to be talking about. We're getting off on a tangent. Or a repair attempt might be, I need a break. Or a repair attempt might be, you know, I'm sorry. I really wish I hadn't said that. You know. And we were looking at the repair attempt and how it was said, and we found that we could not predict the effectiveness of repair from the nature of the repair attempt. And in fact, some people were making repair attempts in a beautiful way. It could have been written by a social worker, and you know, and it was failing. And other people were making repair attempts in this real clumsy way, and it was successful. You know, I remember this one case where this guy who was a chemist, and he and his wife were talking about the fact that because of the nature of his work, he doesn't know exactly when he's coming home for dinner. He has these experiments going on at work, and she said, well, the kids get hungry, and you know, and they don't want to start dinner without you, so they get irritable, and I have to put up with the irritability. And he said, well, why don't you feed him a snack? And his wife gave him a look like, what do you think I am, a moron? Of course I feed him a snack. She went like that, and he realized he needed to make a little repair. So this guy was wearing a red bow tie, and he went. That was his repair attempt. This big stupid grin, you know. And she started to laugh, and the repair attempt was effective, you know. I mean, it changed the way they were going. They weren't in this sort of negative downward spiral. So for years we were looking at what makes repair attempts effective, and we didn't find any answers until we started looking at the person receiving the repair attempt, right? And what made the difference was really how much emotional money in the bank they have with that person. So in other words, my repair attempt with Julie is going to work well if I've really been a good friend to her, you know, especially lately. If I've been really putting emotional deposits in the bank account that we have. And I've been, you know, been doing nice things, I've been kind, you know, I've been understanding, you know, I've been there for her when she needs me, all those kinds of things. That determines whether she's going to accept my repair attempt. And if I've been kind of crummy and disrespectful to her, you know, and not a very good friend, then, you know, that repair attempt's going to fail. So it started us really looking at the quality of the friendship and the man.
One always has to enjoy themselves. I think if you don't enjoy yourself, then you'll find it very difficult to like other people.
When you find someone that you can actually be that honest with, it can be quite scary. I think that can be the hardest thing to deal with sometimes.
Certainly love making. I think that makes a big difference, if I may say.
Or a responsibility to keep your sex life going?
Sex, of course, has got perks in it. And love, I think, is the most important thing being in a relationship.
Initially, yes, it's a love affair and an infatuation, but then it goes deeper and way beyond that, and it takes a lot of work.
I think loneliness is does terrible things to people, drags you down into awful states. So relationships, whether it just to talk to people or to have people around you, company, I think it's absolutely essential.
We kind of grew through our problems together. It means that we have a really much stronger relationship now.